I think banana, I will die on this hill, but anything banana flavored is better than actual bananas.
Okay.
Unless bananas are in a smoothie, bananas are worthless.
I mean, I only like to eat a banana if I spread peanut butter all over it.
To mask the banana-ness.
It's true.
Yeah.
That part's true, but I like that combination.
Yeah.
I actually drizzle honey, too. A little bit of honey.
But
I will
what's
never
Because I do
eat
the
a
natural
banana
peanut
again.
butter.
Never again.
What?
I went to Dominican Republic senior year of high school on a mission trip. That's a Christian thing to do.
Of course.
And we ate goats and we ate bananas for 14 days. And I wanted to die. I have not eaten a banana since or looked at a goat, if I can help it.
Oh, hold on. I have so many questions.
That is what I learned about the Lord on that
Let's get
trip.
some clarity about the eating goats.
Eating goats.
That was like the planned meal was banana and goat,
Yes.
like breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we would say a blessing over the goat in the morning. And by evening, the goat was on our plate.
Prepared.
How was it prepared?
I think it was boiled
Ew.
So you like boiled and then like pulled goat?
and just put on our plate with a banana.
Were there any goat hairs?
Yes.
Oh,
And to wash it down, goat milk.
Oh, of course.
Wow.
Erica, that's awful.
Like the
Yes,
goat.
it was.
Are you sure it wasn't roasted goat?
I try
Over a
not to
fire?
remember anything about that trip.
Hello, and welcome to Redemption Talks, a podcast where we have honest conversations about faith, culture, and life. Each episode, we will explore how the hope of the gospel speaks into the real questions we all face, whether it's diving into scripture, talking through cultural issues, or hearing from different voices in ministry. Our goal is to encourage and challenge you as we walk through the journey together. If you have questions, comments, concerns, ideas for a topic, you can let us know at a webpage that I built. We can actually, there's a place you can go to talk about the podcast now. It's not just
exciting.
ethereal. So it's at redemptionmi.org/podcast.
Nice.
That's as creative as I can get for a URL on Monday morning.
I like it.
So redemptionmi.org/podcast. You can catch up on previous episodes, and you can also submit a question or a topic or a complaint, you know. Those exist. We got some fun
Angry comments would be great.
We got some fun comments on YouTube, so you can just bring those into our inboxes. That'd be even better. Someone on YouTube told us, "Shut up." So
Ouch. Did
That's
someone
it.
Straight to the
specifically, or was it just generally?
it was on one of our shorts. Like we clip out like 1 or 2 minute things and posted a short, and the comment was just "Shut up."
Was
So-
it someone we know?
That's the benefit of the internet is you just get to hide behind anonymity. So
Interesting.
maybe it was one of you out there, and the Holy Spirit will convict you. And
Have a great day. Shut up, internet person.
God bless you. God
There it is.
bless you. Anyway, thanks for joining us today. We're excited to jump into the conversation. First, let me introduce our hosts. My name is Mark. I'm one of the pastors here at Redemption. I'm joined today by Amy Steed, our
Hello.
children's ministry director. Amy, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
Wonderful. Great to have you. Justin Kemmerer, our executive pastor. Justin, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
I'm going to try to match the energy that is around us this
Bring it
morning.
up.
That's right.
Bring it up.
This
They don't-
podcast is not going to be slow talk, Justin.
No.
I'm going to bring it.
He's gonna bring it. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud.
We've been just taking shots of Monster Energy drink before to
Definitely
try and
have
keep
not.
up with the energy in the room, and it's not working.
That would be a no for me.
No, we've been trying to do it to keep up with you two. Last and certainly not least, Erica Bowers, our administrative assistant / something
Yes.
else.
Sunday morning announcement guru.
Yes.
I am pumped to be here. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Glad-
We are too.
Dream team. It's here.
Oh,
It's
boy.
happening.
All right. The audio processing can only do so much leveling.
Listen,
So,
we don't want to get the shut up comment again.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll talk.
It was
away
a
from
premature shut up. So anyway, we've got some important stuff to discuss, but I think the most important thing. This is one of my favorite questions that I've ever come across. This
Boy,
is.
I feel like I needed to know this.
I've
before.
wrestled with this question for years.
Is this going to be, so the times I've been on the podcast, it's kind of like, oh, what's your favorite? So it's opinionated.
This
There's other questions that are like, last week, the
Yeah.
best French fry. And I like to argue, and I want questions that I can argue about.
you want divisiveness?
Yes.
All right. Well, now
Perfect.
I gotta dig further for that. This could be divisive, but this is more divisive within your own brain.
Okay.
This is something I've wrestled with for a very long time. How long would it take for you to notice that you've stopped sneezing forever?
I feel like I sneeze every day, so I feel like I would notice pretty quickly.
Really? I feel like it would take me maybe decades
Are you
to really
serious?
Decades.
put two and two together that I have not sneezed in a long time. Like, I have allergies, but typically my allergies are more related to like, watery eyes, itchy eyes, runny nose, things like that. But like a sneeze is so rare for me. It's only when I'm sick or only when it's like really, really bad allergies or there's like lots of dust in the air. Like I maybe sneeze 4 to 5 times a year.
What? No.
Crazy.
So like,
It's a spiritual
do you
gift.
like not even know like the relief that a sneeze like brings?
I feel like I maybe appreciate it even more than most because it's so rare.
Lately, I've been having a random sneeze at like 11 o'clock at night. Allie's been asleep for 45 minutes. I feel like I'm waking her up with this massive sneeze.
I was just going to ask if you do the typical dad sneeze where you have to just yell at the top
Yes,
of your
He does.
lungs.
He does for sure. Look at him.
It's not. Sometimes I do that to be annoying
Sure.
to my family.
Yeah, you have to.
But in the safety of our own home, it's just like you can just let that sneeze out. It's not a yell for me. It is a pretty, defined
Yeah, it comes from the
a
gut.
chew. Like there is the sound that you think of for a classic sneeze is the sound
Yeah,
of
that's
my-
what you produce.
Yeah.
So you don't keep it in because there's some people, like my niece keeps her sneezes in, which I think is really bad.
I think you have to keep it in when you're in the presence of other people.
Oh, I don't. I don't care.
Well, like if I'm walking in on a Sunday morning and the
Then
message is going on, I'm gonna give it a. You're gonna give it like that little.
That's
like
when Amy's there. Yeah.
muted.
I won't. The really loud sneeze in the back, that'll be me. I like to sneeze. It feels so good.
Anyway, back to the question. It would take me a solid 10 plus years to really put two and two together. What's the last time I sneezed in 2025? Yeah, I just
Erica.
like it's not that frequent of a thing for me.
What about you?
I sneeze a lot. It's like a release of this pressure that's built up when you just you got to let it out. It's
Like is it a daily
real
thing?
big at you.
A daily, a weekly?
Yeah, daily probably.
Clearly I'm in the minority.
Yeah. You should
Just
go
like
to
the
the
doctor.
doctor.
Maybe you need some more sun in your life.
You should
'Cause
see the doctor.
Usually it's the sun that kind of you get that little. I might have to sneeze. Look at the sun. Let it all out.
Which is so funny. I had never heard that until I met John, because all of a sudden he's like looking up. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm looking at the sun so I can sneeze. I'm like,
It's real.
I've never heard of that in my life. But I still don't do that. I just sneeze. I never have a problem.
I mean, I certainly can use more sun in my life. And I feel like even just this morning, you're convicting me because I'm so anti-sun. I was driving Grace to school and I was like, can we dim it a little? Does it need to be so bright?
Yes.
I-
Mark.
I can't see.
So
The
bright.
time that I drive in to places I cannot see.
This is how I know that the Lord protects me because the limited vision I have driving Grace to school into the sun. It's like the only reason we're all alive is by the grace of God.
I also have a car that doesn't work, and so it doesn't have any heat.
Oh, no.
Let alone it's poisoning me with its exhaust.
Oh,
but
just
so
Why are you still driving it? You said you had a
it's a
spare
game.
car?
Because it's a game.
Today's
I gotta
the day.
No, it's
you
not.
win. Gold star.
It's not. How long can this thing survive?
Okay, how many miles does it have on it?
Not a ton, because it was a car that didn't work to begin with. It was found at an auction, didn't work. John Koyman, shout out, at our church. He worked his magic, got it starting. So it's like 185,000 miles on it. But it's from 2002. But anyways, so nothing clears up. So even like yesterday on the way to church, Will's trying to reach over on my side, wipe off my window so that we can kind of see because the sun is blinding us.
That was the rest. I had a car in college. I was a poor college student, literally graduated and got married to Julie with $400 in my bank account. So thankfully, Julie had some money. That was great. But had no money in college to do anything for my car for repairs. So had a crappy car. The heat or something stopped working, but like the vents still worked. But obviously, if you don't have heat in Michigan winters. That doesn't do great. But I didn't have enough money to get it repaired by a mechanic, but I did have enough money to go onto Amazon to buy a plug-in defroster that I could put on my dashboard to defrost my windows.
There you go.
So did I do that in college? Yes, I did.
And it worked.
And it worked.
That's what you need,
Brilliant.
Justin.
God bless
Brilliant.
Amazon.
I'm not going to put any more money.
Order
what I'm doing.
Order Justin an Amazon defroster,
It was
please.
the best $44.95 I ever spent.
See,
Can you
that's
send me the
worth
link?
I might still have
I know a friend.
it. I know a friend that could use one.
Part of me would be just like you in the sneeze category, because I think it would take a long stretch of not having sneezed, but then I would have to be reminded by somebody else around me, like, oh, wait,
Yeah.
I haven't sneezed in.
Do you think it would be Allie, like waking up in the morning, like I slept so, like I didn't have my normal 11 o'clock
Wake up call.
No.
alarm?
Even though it wakes her up, it doesn't wake her up because
Yeah.
she can put her head on the pillow and be asleep in 5 seconds.
Oh, she's
it's a
one of those,
gift.
She's
Yeah.
one of those people.
I'm
Jealous.
I'm
of those
not that
people.
way.
Very jealous.
I am that
I might
person.
be asleep after an hour and a half.
Yes. Just can't shut
There's a
them
point in the evening where I know if I don't get up and go to bed, I've missed that window and then I become an awful person. I've just got to get up and go to sleep because otherwise I don't make it there and I fall asleep wherever I am. It's just a terrible thing.
And you just sleep there all night?
Sleep there all night. Yeah.
Ugh.
I need a solid 12 hours to function well.
Goodness.
You're lucky.
wait.
I went to bed on time last night.
Okay, good.
Goodness.
We're winning.
Yeah.
We're winning.
Usually if I could sleep 8:30 to 8:30, dream schedule.
You go to bed at 8:30?
I mean, I'm not saying I do every night, but
I feel like
Are you like 90?
yeah, I am. That's why I'm firing on all cylinders when I get here.
What do you
Dream team.
feel like you miss out on?
Nothing.
It's probably true, but I have FOMO, so I feel like I'm going to miss out on all sorts of things.
Yeah, my brain goes to there's 4 hours of the night left. That's like a good movie and a half.
No,
Ooh,
if I can
you go
put
to
my
bed at
kids to
midnight?
bed and then get in bed right after them, I'll be asleep before they're asleep.
I mean, I admire it.
Thank
It's
you.
one of those things that I know I should do, and I will never do. I can't
So
bring
even
myself
like
to do
on a
it.
Friday night?
Oh yeah, I can't. I cannot stay up late. I'm an awful person the next day.
What time do you wake up?
Depends on if I set an alarm. Otherwise, I just keep sleeping.
What a gift.
I know. I try to be up on my days home 7:30 because that's when my kids wake up.
Wow, you get more sleep than I think anyone else I know.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure one night of sleep for you is about 2.5 nights of sleep for me.
Yeah. Yes. I need it. You guys,
I
you
applaud
need more
it.
sleep.
I know.
Listen, you
But
do.
how am I
Everybody
going
needs
to
more
do
sleep.
all the things in my life if I'm sleeping?
That's when you got your noon to 5 is my
That's when I should be sleeping?
prime time.
We
No,
want
get
more time
everything
in our
done.
life to sneeze.
Yes, exactly.
We sneeze every day. You guys can't remember when you.
Like,
So you
No.
literally don't remember the last time you sneezed.
no. I mean, I don't keep a log, so it's
I
not
sneezed last night.
it's not part of my health
I
journal.
already sneezed this morning. I already know.
No, I cannot honestly think of the last time I sneezed. It could be weeks or months at this point. I have no idea.
Now we're just going to be watching you to
I know.
be able to
We're
witness.
just gonna wait.
We want to be the witnesses of.
That's where I wrestle with this question because maybe it already happened. Maybe I sneezed my last sneeze and I didn't appreciate it.
Erica has her little, gold star, and then right next to it's going to be a tally of Mark's sneezes.
Yes.
Sneezes.
And also, it
starts
will
today.
be an alert that Mark is getting sick because
Yes.
he only
Then we'll know.
sneezes when he's sick.
Then we'll know when you're sick, and you
Stay
better
away
stay
from
away.
Mark.
No.
Apparently, they're going to try to get you sick.
I'm trying to work up a sneeze right now just to perfectly time it.
But the way Amy sneezes, you just have to be around her, and then you will get sick because she's going to spray it all over.
Why would I hold it in?
Yeah, it's not good for you.
Ridiculous.
It isn't good. It's not like I'm spraying all over the place. I will very, very nicely in my. It's not. I'm a very ladylike sneezer.
Jeez.
You got to teach my kids. My kids are still at the stage
Oh,
where
gross.
they'll
So
just
many.
sneeze. And
in your
the
face.
amount of times I've been have my mouth sneezed into.
Listen.
It's like, and Grace will do it too. Grace will she'll lift her arm,
Yes.
and then sneeze.
Under
She'll still sneeze into me.
the amount of times
good try.
I love
my
the effort.
students, The students that I had for second graders, it was gross. It was bad, real bad. Lots of stories. We don't need to talk about them.
Anyway, this is your PSA as we head into flu season.
Yes.
Sneeze into your arm, people. Sneeze into your arm.
Yes.
Anyway, good talk. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for indulging my sneeze
I
question.
can't wait for your next sneeze. We're going to be so excited.
It's going to happen on this podcast. I guarantee it. I can already feel it. Which means I'm getting sick.
Oh no.
Don't.
You're welcome, everybody.
Don't use his mic.
I'll Lysol it. Anyway, on to more important things to talk about
Yes.
than sneezes. Today, I want to talk about seasons of waiting. I'm trying to think of the best way to kind of intro the topic, just because I feel like it's something that everybody wrestles with. Everyone's gone through long seasons of hardship and struggle and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and it just feels like all of the emotions that come through that, where you start to doubt, like, does God even care? Is God even there? Does God hear what I'm going through? Does God have a plan? Do I have to start doing something? Like, how do we get through a hard season, a season of waiting? And I think that's so common for people. Obviously, I don't think that's isolated to like a niche of the church or a niche of humanity. I think everyone struggles with that. And I think the church is uniquely positioned to speak into seasons of waiting, seasons of hardship, difficult circumstances, and how we navigate through that. So I guess, I've got a bunch of questions that we can dive into. If we find discussion to be hard today, I don't think we'll find discussion to be that hard given the topic. But if we need to, I got a bunch of questions we can go through. So I guess before I get into my notes and my questions, I'll just open it up to whoever wants to take the topic and run with it. Talk about if you've had a season in your life, when you've had a season in your life of hardship, of waiting, what that's like, what, if you're comfortable sharing, what was the situation, and what did you, we'll just kind of dive into that. Like, what did you learn from that? What did you take away from that? And what did God teach you through that? So the question's open. Who wants to share
Who's going first?
the most vulnerable part of their life?
Why is everyone
first?
looking at me?
We don't have to look at you. I'll look at Erica.
The first one comes to my mind is Allie and I, when we were married. First year was spent in Virginia. We knew it wasn't a long-term location. Great year for us. Kind of being by ourselves, no friends, became best friends. So great for a first year of marriage. But then I would say, just kind of entered into a little bit of the unknown, where I was going back to school, and we were just going to get the jobs to kind of support that. And so, looking back, I've actually always kind of described as a little bit of an Abrahamic journey mixed with a lot of wilderness wanderings that took us back up to New York for a 6-month season where I grew up, just thinking we got connections here, we'll get some jobs. Again, as we just kind of go through the process of pursuing higher education, nothing really opened up, and Allie was actually offered a job at her brother-in-law's church here in Grand Rapids, which was kind of, and then just being closer to family just kind of was the dynamic of moving back out here to Michigan. But that really, when we hit the ground here, I had a job lined up, and this was like 2008. So right when we came out to Michigan was kind of like a financial crisis, the economy crash in that piece. And that set in motion probably a 4 or 5 year stretch of defeat, actually deep depression for myself, and a lot of rejection. And so we had somewhat of an apartment type setup in her parents' basement that, if I'm honest, is always don't want to say this, we were there for 5 years. And that was difficult for many reasons. Sure. But I pursued like every job imaginable. I washed dishes for like the Grand Rapids Athletic Club on like the 10th floor of the third building downtown. Like I was willing to do whatever to provide for our family, but it was like no after no after no after no. During that time, again, one of the gifts of that was during that stretch, my dad was sick with cancer, ended up passing away in September 2010. And so in the middle of this stretch, we're kind of walking through that cancer journey with my family and my dad. what that did allow, unknowingly at the time, even though we were waiting for so many answers other than rejection, was actually more time with my dad. Not being tied down with a job. Like when we went at Christmas, when we went in the summer, we were able to go for like a 3 week stretch because we didn't have anything else tying us down.
Yeah.
So there were some gifts to that. But when you get rejection, when you suffer the loss of a family member, your dad, your loved one, and you've been waiting this 5-year stretch for the Lord to give some sort of clarity of what you're supposed to do with your life, where you're supposed to be. Looking back, there was just so much of what at least I perceived as his silence. And what is cyclical for me in the waiting is, well, if you aren't going to move or act in a certain way, that certainly I've set forth. Like, this is how you have to move, God. Like, this is what makes sense. And you're actually choosing not to do that. And then through all that, wait, you take away my dad who gave his life to you for years and years of ministry. So wait, it wasn't good for him to be here to serve you. It wasn't good for him to be here for my mom. It wasn't good for him to be here for me. Wait, you're telling me it wasn't good that my 3 boys actually don't know my dad?
Yeah.
And so all in that context of just waiting for him to move, to speak, to give an answer, to give direction, did lead to like just depression, where like living in my in-laws' basement, I know there were days where it's like, hey, is Justin okay? Because there were days like I just wouldn't even speak words. I'm just living in the basement, applying anywhere, trying not to be seen, and just getting out of the way. And so waiting is hard, and waiting can lead to dark seasons. And anytime we built a plan, the Lord blew it up, and so waiting doesn't make sense. Yeah. And so for the listener, I think I can say I get it. I get where you might be at. And I don't want to say the word unfortunately, but there's so much to learn on the other side of waiting that I didn't learn until the Lord did move and speak and make things clear. But I can testify to even that piece about more time with my dad. What was unique, though we did not plan it this way, because we have 3 boys. The timing of all 3 of our boys was never planned, if I can put that out there. So we had Will in the season where we were in my in-laws' basement. One of the pieces was that Will grew up with his grandparents and has an unbelievable relationship with his grandparents that he wouldn't have otherwise. Yeah. Another couple who loves the Lord, who pours into Will and having that close relationship. And so from like time, the gift of relationship, there are certainly evidences that the Lord was good even within the awaiting dark season.
Yeah, well, and I think it's not to always tie it to specifically what we were talking about on Sunday, but you had something you talked about yesterday during the message of, I'm trying to remember, obviously you know the specific wording, but basically like God's not committed to your plans, he's committed to you. And that I think is a really important truth to remember in a season of waiting like that, where you have plan after plan after plan that you are praying about, you're going to God for, to say like, okay, is this where you want me to do? Do you want me to wash dishes? Do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do this? Apply here. And you're like, okay, God, here's the plan. And it feels like you lay out everything nice on the table, and then God's just like, whoosh, wipes it all away. Not because he doesn't care. It's because he cares that there's a commitment to you, not to your plans. And I think that's, again, in discussing anything in a season of waiting, those are very easy truths to acknowledge and to remember. And then in the moment, it's like, I don't care that it's true. It's still hard. It still hurts.
Yeah, because I didn't even clarify the cycle. So for me, it's like, okay, here's what's good and right. Why won't you do it? Oh, so you wouldn't do that for me, so you must not love me. Listen, if you don't love me, then there's no sense in me loving you. And so you actually enter into this place in a waiting season where you actually like full-on rejection of the Lord. And I found myself in that place so many times.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's hard because, you know, when you come through that season of waiting, you can look back and say, like the Lord was so good to me. I'm here now. I'm standing here now. But I think there are so many people that are in the waiting season. And when you're sitting through that and you're in those dark places, you do often question, like, what if that's not my story? What if the Lord never answers what I want him to answer or brings me out of this? Because that is the reality for a lot of people. There are times, like, think of infertility or cancer or things that happen in your families that you're like, God didn't answer me, or at least not the way that I wanted to be answered here on earth. And I think that's such a hard place to be, because you can be sitting there waiting for the Lord, and when he asks you to be content in that, it's not easy to do when you're in the waiting season, or even if that answer has come where you're like, but he didn't answer me how I wanted to be answered. And so how do you encourage people through those seasons of waiting, just trying to say, like, the Lord is faithful. The Lord is good. And sometimes he doesn't feel that way. Sometimes in your life,
You don't have to apologize.
I hate when people cry when they talk. It's so annoying.
You're still beautiful when you
Sorry.
talk and cry. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that I have been in a season of waiting. I know that my family has been in a season of waiting. And so sometimes it's hard to come out and sing songs or be in a worship center listening to you speak and being like, well, that's nice because this guy's got it all together. You know what I mean? Like, you do, boss. So sometimes
Clearly, I don't.
sorry. So I don't know. It just sometimes you can listen to these things and hear all these things, and I know all the truth, and I know everything is well and good, and I know that God has me, and I know that if I wave my white flag and surrender, like, he's there. I know that. I know all of these truths. And then you go home and you're like, where is it? Where's the truth? Like, where is he? Why isn't he here? And I know he's here. But it's like such a battle sometimes of being like, this is what your word says, God. And then you read stories like what's happening in Joshua, and you're like, can you just make the sun stand still for me too? You know? And so, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to be in this
Well, I think
season.
it's to piggyback on that and to kind of emphasize the problem in our culture. I think there's a real problem in that social media certainly exacerbates the issue, makes it worse. But I think we would do this even without the advent of social media, where we don't share the bad stuff. I don't want to share that I'm waiting. I want to share the successes. So on social media, we post the happy pictures of the family and the vacations, and look at what my kid did in school, and look at all the glossy parts of my life that we can kind of glaze over and put, the happy veneer on. And then you do go home and you realize, well, yes, my kid might be successful in school, but that's the only thing they're successful in, and you struggle with all the other stuff. And yes, my husband may have got the promotion, but all these other things, or Julie might be successful in this, but we don't talk about all the arguments we have, or whatever it might be, like all of these things that are beneath the surface that when we do come into church, it seems like everyone around you has it put together. It seems like no one else is in a season of waiting, so I must be the only one that's struggling with their faith. I'm the only one that God's teaching a lesson to, and if I would just get my stuff together, then God would move, and then it would be figured out. But I'm not going to do that because I thought I already did. And so you have this constant, like you said, Justin, this cycle of, well, I thought I did it right, but you're not doing anything. So either I didn't do it right or you're not doing it right. So maybe we're just done with the whole thing.
Well, and it puts it back on me, right? Like if I'm in control, because if I just play God, then I'll figure it out. And then I'll ask God, and I'll invite him in with me, and he's gonna move, But also I'm in control, so like gold star, I did it. Yeah. And so I think it's just this piece of like coming out of recognizing that I'm not in control.
Yeah.
And I feel like that has a little bit to do with the way that I grew up. Believing that if I was just good enough, if I just stayed in line enough, if I could accomplish all of these things, if I could earn enough gold stars. God's good, right?
Yep.
Everything's good.
Yeah.
And that's just a facade that can be put on that everything's not always good.
Yeah.
Well, there's something natural about that too, because that's the way I grew up as well. And so even in the waiting, what did I do wrong? Like I didn't perform well enough to receive an answer for you to move. What am I still doing wrong? Because it's still like, why are you upset with me type deal? Right. And all those things truly start to creep in and really cause you to doubt both the Lord and doubt yourself. And then it's like you just kind of live in this fight for, well, it's even like a little bit of a fight for me with the Lord. Wait, is this on me or is this on you? Because if it's on me, then it's going to be failure. And I believe you've said it's on you. Like, I know both things can be true at the same time. Like both. Yeah, it's 100% the Lord, but it is 100% us as well in our response to Him.
Amy, you've never had to wrestle with the season of waiting, but if you had to speak in, if you had to offer, your side of the story.
So I would say, I think you guys have all heard me talk about this before, but, we had major fertility issues, when we decided to start a family. And, it seems so simple, but it was really like probably the most darkest time of my life, going through that journey. But yeah, we struggled having kids. We have had 5 miscarriages. 4 of them were before, 3 of them were before kids. And it took me down a spiral of, doubt. I didn't want to be around people. And I am not a depressed person. You all know me. You all know that I'm a pretty happy-going person. And all of my friends were pregnant at the same time. It was a huge tension in our marriage just because, it's a really hard thing to go through. And men typically don't have that kind of emotion to where they understand what's going on. And John was so good at that time. So I'm not saying he wasn't, but it's hard for them to understand exactly what you're going through. But, and I think a big part of it, there was one time where I had to go in to get surgery because I was far enough along that I needed help with that part of it. And so you get a DNC, and I just remember I couldn't sleep. I was like, I am not sleeping tonight. I am so sick of this. This is so unfair. I've been doing everything I'm supposed to, checking all the boxes of what I should be doing. And so I called my dad, and my dad just started praying scripture over me. And so he prayed Matthew 11:28 over me. And I have never experienced this in my life. I don't know if you guys have, but when he got to, and I will give you rest, it was like this burden was lifted off my shoulders because I was just literally crying out to the Lord. And I would pray that verse over and over. And it was just like a shift for me to be able to give that to the Lord instead of always like praying, why is this happening to me? I finally changed to, Lord, just let your will be done and help me to be okay with it because it may not be how I want it answered. And he still didn't, right away. We still waited a whole entire year through those miscarriages before we had Harrison. And then, after Harrison and I had another one, it was like, oh goodness, we're doing this again. But it was a different, I would say, perspective because I was able to just go back to those verses and remember that the Lord was for me even through heartache. But I just remember really changing my prayer life in those moments instead of like, oh, woe is me, Lord, you're not coming through, to like, you know what, Lord, I know that you have a plan for me. It may not be what I want and it may not be what John wants, but I know that you're for us. And it just completely took that time and made it a lot more precious, especially in our marriage with my relationship with the Lord. And then again, when we had a surprise pregnancy and it ended in miscarriage, it's such a crazy time to go through that. But I was able to walk through it in a different perspective because I was like, you know what, we're going to be okay no matter what. And I had people in my life that were so helpful. And like one of them was your wife. I mean, she was with me the entire time, just sending scripture and prayer, praying over me, and just songs that were so helpful to go through it. But then being able to walk other women through it and being able to be that voice that I really do understand where you're coming from. Like I literally have been in your footsteps. And I remember talking with someone right from church that was going through it. And now she's got 3 babes and she's like, I remember that and it was awful and nobody understands until you can walk through that. And so my only words of advice would be, if you know of anyone ever doing that, just like, I love you and I'm praying for you and I'm here for you. That's all I'm going to say about that. Lots of advice when you go through infertility.
Yeah. Well, that's Justin, I want to throw a question to you. It's an important question that I still to this day struggle with for people that are, be it grief or, they're in a season of waiting or difficult circumstances or whatever. I feel like there's such a reputation in the church of like the tone deaf comforter that just comes alongside someone that's like, count it all joy, brother. And you just kind of like, you fist bump and you walk away and you throw a Bible verse at someone and you're like, okay, you're comforted.
I did my job.
So that, recognizing that reputation exists. And on the other side, it's like, well, what else can I offer you? Like, other than like, is there anything more comforting, like in your story of like the words of Jesus for someone that's wrestling with a burden? I'm going to give you rest. And so like, I don't know, talk through that, Justin, of this. How do you walk alongside someone that's in a season of waiting, in a season of hurt, difficult circumstances? They keep going through the same, whether it's, a cycle of pain or depression or grief or whatever it might be. What do we have to offer them? And I think the West Michigan church boy in me is like, give me the list of the things to do so I can check the box and
Gold
say
star.
I'm a good comforter.
Right.
I'm a good comforter.
So not all things work together for good. just you wait some more. This is gonna turn. Yeah. I don't think anything is more poignant than weep with those who weep.
Yeah.
And that paints a picture of nearness, and that paints a picture of closeness. So it's a proximity. And what it actually doesn't paint a picture of is words to weep with those who weep. Nothing is said in those moments. It's actually just a presence. Yeah. Practically speaking, everyone's got to eat, and so I think those are some of the most beautiful ways. Is where it's like, and maybe it's not, it can be a gift card, it can be time, it can be a walk. Less words and more presence. I think what that speaks to us, and those that are walking through those situations, because it can be in so many different contexts. It could be in a Sunday morning. It can be in those moments where I think it's just true of humanity. No one's going to remember what you said, so maybe don't say the wrong thing anyways. Yeah. But they're going to remember how you made them feel. And that's just a human response and a human, what humans remember. And so it's just being there. And it's no pressure to do anything more. One of the crises that we went through was a house fire, and so maybe not the exact context of waiting, but we were asking ourselves when we left our house fire at 4:30 in the morning, like, why is this happening to us? To in the matter of probably 5-6 hours, not asking the same question, why is this happening to us? But not because of what we lost, but because of what people were giving and pouring out for us in those situations and in those seasons of crisis. Like, why are we actually receiving this? Yeah. And a lot of that was just in proximity, just knowing people were there. It was presence, and then if there is a practical need, it is to meet it. But I think it just goes back to the point where, like, weeping with those who weep actually doesn't speak to words. It just speaks to being there and having a presence. Like, nothing has to be said. Yeah. Like, there is actually, when you don't say anything but your presence is there, you're actually validating the pain and suffering that they're going through because it is real. And maybe you haven't sensed that specific pain and suffering, but pain and suffering because it is what is common of every human being. And so it's like, that. Yeah. And so just be in it with them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Shifting gears a little bit, still talking about seasons of waiting. One of the things that was so helpful for me, I'm a very impatient person. Julie will tell you that of all the fruit of the Spirit that I don't exhibit the most, love, joy, peace, patience. Still waiting on that one. Still waiting on that. And to the point that I can see it in my kids, like where Grace will be doing something, and within 2 seconds, if she doesn't get it, she'll throw up her hands in frustration. And it's like, I know exactly where you get that from. But I'm not good at patience. And so even for seasons of short waiting, an example in my life is when Julie was pregnant with Grace, everything was going fine. We had her 20-week anatomy scan, went in, and the doctor found something and told us, we found a really concerning thing in the ultrasound. We can't tell you what it is because we're not, whatever. We don't have the qualification to officially make the diagnosis. We just know it's concerning enough to refer you to whatever that doctor is called. I don't remember. And they can make the diagnosis. The soonest they can get you in is in 2 or 3 weeks. See you later. So Julie and I went home literally not knowing anything other than we should be very concerned, but we can't do anything for another 2 to 3 weeks until we get into the doctor. And so I have a very short window of waiting in the unknown in that instance, where I know others have long periods of waiting in the unknown. But even in that, there's so much that I learned about what God is highlighting in my life of things that I need to learn. You need to learn patience. You need to learn reliance and trust and all of that. And obviously, the season of waiting went longer than that. Once we got the official diagnosis, I've shared it with people before, but basically the diagnosis officially came in where we were told if Julie went into labor, Grace, our daughter, would die, and Julie would probably die. So she can't go into labor, which is like that's the natural process of pregnancy, is to eventually go into labor. So you're constantly walking on eggshells, trying to figure stuff out, trying to do stuff the right way. But through that season, trusting in the Lord and realizing that even if it were to go not according to my plan, which by the grace of God, grace is great. You would never know that Grace was born premature or through an emergency pregnancy, anything like that. So that's all by the grace of God. But if it didn't go that way, the truth of who God is, how he works, of what Scripture says about him, all of those things are still true, that I don't think I would have learned that if it was just a smooth, everything was hunky-dory, perfect anatomy scan, Grace comes out totally fine, no health scare. Unfortunately for Julie and for Grace, I needed that season of total unknown where I can't do anything. Like I'm not medically equipped to do anything. Like I have no power, no control in this situation. The only thing I can do is go to God and ask, why are you doing this? Like why would my daughter have to go through this for me to learn something or whatever it might be? But those are conversations I would never have had with God had that situation not come up. And so that's, again, I don't want to try to just glaze over seasons of waiting and suffering and all that, to just say well, eventually you're going to learn something and eventually God's going to teach you. And so it's all worth it, even though that's true, even though that can be true. I think having a perspective like that has helped me in seasons of suffering to say, and I've even had this too in my own health issues. I've got a really bad back. And so sometimes it'll go thrown out, and to the point where I'm just literally sitting on the couch for days and days and days. I can't move. It hurts to breathe. I can't walk upstairs. And in those moments where taking a breath hurts, you just have prayers to God of why would you do this to me? I know you can make this better instantly. And it feels like such a stupid thing to have a muscle spasm in your back throughout your entire life. But even in those seasons, I've shifted my prayer to instead of praying, God, would you heal me from this? Would you take this pain away from me? To instead being, God, what are you trying to teach me through this? And some of that is selfish to say, well, if I learn it, then you'll stop. then the pain will stop once I learn my lesson. But I think even that perspective helps shift a little bit of a season of waiting or a season of suffering that I didn't have, and this is the last story that I'll say, and then I'm done. But even my first career out of college, I got a job as a marketing graphic designer person in Milwaukee. Worst job I've ever had in my life. Awful job.
Is that because you lived in Milwaukee?
That's part of it. That's part of it. Although Milwaukee there's lots of fun stuff to do.
I've never been there, so
lots of fun stuff to do.
Nothing against Milwaukee.
My 12 Wisconsin friends that might still be listening. Just awful job. Horrible hours, horrible work environment, toxic workplace, just awful. And so from literally from day one, I told you, I need to get out of here. I need to find a different job. And it took a year and a half of constantly applying, Similar to your story, Justin, of just apply, rejection, apply, interview, second interview, rejection, 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 rejection. And I spent all of this time trying to get out. And then I finally got another job, and it was like, oh, thank you, Lord. Finally, you provided. Finally, you came through. And then I had the hindsight of looking back of a year and a half where I wasted my time not doing anything for the Lord in that environment. I was put into an environment that was so toxic that was immediately noticeable to me, like, oh my gosh, this is not a place I want to be at all. And had no regard for anyone else. Never talked to anyone about the gospel, never shared anything. Like, I just wanted out of the situation. And I always look back on that as an environment of, yes, I was in a season of waiting. I was in a season of suffering. And I wasted the environment that God put me in because I was so focused on, like, get me out of the season of waiting, that God was like, I'm trying to share the gospel with these people. I'm trying to bring some sense of hope to this place, and you're just, all you're focused on is yourself.
Self-absorbed.
So I share all that to kind of throw it back to you guys of, through those seasons of waiting, again, it's not to say that if you learned a lesson, it's all worth it and it's all okay. But it is to say, sometimes, man, you get such clarity on who God is, on how he works, that if you hadn't had that season of hardship, waiting, suffering, whatever it might be, you would never have gained that perspective, that real perspective of who God is in your relationship in regards to you. So,
Yeah, I think what you said was so good there about how you feel like you missed an opportunity looking back. And I think if you are still in a season of waiting right now, I think it is okay to pause and say, am I learning what the Lord is trying to teach me? Or am I doing all that the Lord has offered me here? And taking a look and seeing, okay, what can I do? Because there's so much that's out of your control when you're in a season. And there's so much that you want to micromanage or figure out on your own. And when you can't, I think the only thing that you can do is say, okay, when can I share the gospel? How can I talk about Jesus today? How can I share that Jesus changes everything? Because I think, even just in a funny way, go back to the comment of shut up, that we got on YouTube. Thank you. But what if that person is like, shut up? Like, I am in a season of waiting, or, the Lord didn't answer my prayer. My baby died in delivery. Yeah. And so shut up, because good for you. Glad you got the ending you wanted. Yep. I'm here still suffering, and I'll never come out of that. Yep. So where do you encourage those people, or how do you talk to someone who's never going to feel their season of suffering end?
Yeah, I mean, there's, I believe, Daniel 3 kind of faith where you got your Psalm 23, you got your even though faith, and then in Daniel you have your even if faith, where it's, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and their other names as well that they're referred to as. But, they're being tested, and it's, we believe that you will, or we believe that you can, God, we believe that you will, but even if you don't, I'm not bowing down. Yeah. And I don't know that it is encouraging, because so many stories do land and like God didn't, and he's not going to. But all roads lead back to him, and what the waiting is testing is he and he alone good enough? Like, all roads are going to lead back to him. And what he is asking us in the waiting is, am I enough for you? And so many times in my life, in the wasted moments, like, no, you're not. It has to be you and this. Yeah. And if that's not encouraging, because all that does is that it paints a picture of pain. Pain that we had to go through to bring us to the point where it is all Jesus, or not even just and the fact that what that came with was the fact that you didn't move, and there was something that was torn from me, ripped away. Whether that's both internal, or whether that's the stories of loss, and loss of loved ones and relationships. And then I would just say this, and because I resonated when you were talking with Mark as well. There was one other season in my life, 8 years ago, health crisis, in bed for like 30 days, couldn't stand up straight, whatever. And I'm not asking for another season of waiting right now, but this conversation actually has me, what I do miss about the seasons of hardship and crisis and waiting is actually the desperate place I was in. And so this is not the only thing that I could do physically in those moments, actually, I would roll off the side of my bed and lay face down on the floor and just ask the Lord. And there was such a desperation there. And I miss that because that's not even in my life right now. And what's really sad is that actually out of that season when the Lord did answer and bring some healing, I was convicted that actually that was the place that I needed to spend like once a day. I don't. I want to tell you that.
Yeah.
Like the desperation's not there because though there are a couple big asks that Allie and I are making in our home, one tied to our kids and their salvation, and that's something only the Lord can do. And another big ask that I actually don't believe the Lord will ever do. And part of that is I think I'm the one that keeps getting in the way. But at the same time, where it's just like I'm not in a crazy season of waiting right now, but then like there's just no desperation for the Lord. And it's just such a conviction where it's like this conversation, bringing it back to some of these moments in our lives, it's just like I was completely desperate because I only needed the Lord. And if waiting does nothing else, but it brings us to a point of desperation for the Lord, brings us to a point of like, he's it, and he alone satisfies.
Yeah.
The verse I always prayed in those moments was Psalm 116. And it was just like, I love the Lord because he heard my cries and pleas for mercy. And so if he brings us to that point, I want to say it's enough.
Yeah.
But I think just the ask of the Lord honest in those seasons is like, is it enough? Am I enough?
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's hard too, like when you are in that desperate moment, like I want the control. I want to be able to control the narrative of how that's going to end or how that situation, you know, like Josie with all of her alopecia and then her lupus diagnosis, like that was so long and hard going through, and I was the one that had to fight for her because nothing else was happening. And I was going to the Lord, like, Lord, you've got to take this. Like, if I'm going down this wrong path of how she should get better, like, I need you to stop it and help us because it was so dark for me. It wasn't maybe as much as Josie because she was so young when all that was happening. And I mean, she understood, but at the same time, it's like, I remember going to Chicago with her to try to talk to a doctor and see how we can help her, and just like literally sobbing on the way there. And Josie's like, Mom, let's just pray about it. It's fine. And it's like, how do you even know I was this to me? And she's like, I'm fine. You know, like you almost forget, like the Lord has these kids and we're the ones that are like causing all the ruckus because we want the control and we want to make sure that they're doing exactly what we want them to do. And it's just, I think it's a really hard thing to get desperate when it's under your own control. Like I want to be desperate for the Lord and be face down on the ground, not for my selfish reasons. I want to be face down for him, if that makes sense, and not for me. And I think it's a hard place to be because we should be face down every single day, like you said.
Yeah.
Just the desperate want and need of him.
Yeah, I think about what Josh said a couple weeks ago, where he was like, if God answered every single prayer you prayed over the last week, what would be answered? And it's like, ooh. Everything about me. Yes. My life would be amazing. Right. Sorry, y'all. I didn't pray for any of you. You know, it's just like such a conviction of like how little I've made my world because it's all about me. Yeah. And if every single prayer that I prayed would be answered, it'd be every single prayer that involves my home and my home alone. Yeah. So just like such a broader picture of like, what does it look like to bring the gospel to our city, to see our city redeemed one life at a time? Do I even know one life that needs redeemed at this point? You know, like, how small have I made my circle when the Lord has just asked me to be open hands and open eyes to everyone around me? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's to the question of, how do you walk alongside someone that's either they know they're in a permanent season of waiting. You've got your diagnosis of this is your autoimmune disease that you deal with forever, or this is your cancer diagnosis that will eventually take your life, or whatever it might be. Whatever season of waiting or hardship or suffering, to the question of comfort, my logical brain goes to, I believe God is the greatest comfort. And so what would you rather have in place of that? What does the world have to offer in terms of comfort in suffering like that. It's like there's nothing that can be offered other than maybe some temporary comforts. So maybe, you have a health diagnosis that will eventually take your life, or you have this long-term suffering that's put in front of you, and you might be able to get some temporary relief with some really stellar medical care. You might be able to get, a more comfortable home life or whatever it might be. But we know those are ultimately temporary. And even if you are granted those temporary comforts, eventually there will come a season in that season of suffering where you're like, this still sucks. This still hurts. This still isn't enough. And that's where I go to, even in those moments of, sometimes it's appropriate to share a scripture of, a Romans 8, that the suffering of this doesn't even hold a candle to the glory to come, or even a James 1, to count it all joy in the midst of suffering. Like, those are biblical truths that God offers his people that I think are good reminders to keep in your back pocket during seasons of suffering. And above all of that, above the God of Scripture, is the God who cares for those that are suffering, God that cares for the brokenhearted, a God that goes to people that have had miscarriages and comforts them, a God that cares about a diagnosis and a rejection from a college or a job or a broken heart from a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it might be, a God that looks at those things and actually hurts with you, as opposed to a world that looks at it and goes like, well, what can we offer? Like, there's nothing that can be offered in those moments. And so I think that's, I don't know. I don't think there is the right answer to come alongside with someone and say, here's the silver bullet of the comfort word that can be offered. Other than, I don't know how to comfort you, but I know God does. Eventually, that comfort comes from the Lord, even if it's not the answer that we desire.
And it goes back to what Justin said, just being present, I think, is a huge part of it, because there's, of course, situations that we haven't personally gone through, but we certainly can be there and be present and help come alongside them, just to weep with them or whatever. Even people in our church, like, we don't know every situation they're going through, but we can pray over them and we can be with them and just be present.
Any final thoughts? Any? I was going to say last words, but hopefully they're not our last words. I guess that's up to God.
For the podcast, how's that? Last words for the podcast.
Last words for today's podcast. Any final thoughts? Closing thoughts?
I was just thinking. Even this morning, behind the scenes, like the group, the four of us, wasn't the original plan, but you set the four of us around the table, and we've all been through it. We've all been through stuff. Yeah. And if you put any four people around this table, they're going to be able to testify to that. Yeah. But in all of what us four have been through and able to share, there's a resounding still testament to the goodness of the Lord. Yeah. Right. The goodness of God, and that it's lifelong. And just the picture of the world that would testify around this table to such emptiness, and yet I believe this morning or today, there's a beautiful brokenness around this table, and in the waiting and the suffering, God is good.
Yeah, I think of that song we sang last week, in the waiting, be still and know that God is always in control. And if nothing else, that's all I know. I can tell myself to be still and know he's always in control.
Love it.
Me too.
Amen.
Dream team.
Amen.
You guys can be a part of it. You're like secondary dream team.
I did not sign off on that.
I don't need to be a part of the dream
I
team.
know. Ouch, Mark.
Okay.
I don't know that gold stars mean as much to me as they mean as much to the dream team.
When I took this job, I had 3 goals. Okay? Earn as many gold stars as possible. Be on the podcast.
Woohoo!
And go to McDonald's for staff lunch.
Oh, ouch. Get them out.
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3 is about.
Unless
don't worry,
we go to McDonald's after this, everybody.
You find the right combo on a staff lunch day, they will definitely go to McDonald's with you.
I did forget my lunch, so maybe today's your lucky day.
Today's the day.
I'm almost there.
I need like monetary gifts, not gold stars.
Oh, okay.
I need actual gold stars that I can melt
Turn
down.
in.
I mean, you're literally talking about like Mario.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Yes.
If you could just put that behind my desk in the office, that'd be great.
I like it.
My birthday's coming up. So.
Yep.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for tuning
Yeah.
in. If you stuck around, appreciate it. Thanks for listening to Redemption Talks. Hopefully today's conversation encouraged you, gave you something to think about. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit like, subscribe, leave us a podcast review. We need those on Apple and Spotify. If you can leave some reviews, some kind reviews. Don't leave a shut up review. Leave a nice review.
Or do. They still count.
That's true. It all counts as engagement. So yeah, you do whatever you want, everybody. We're still going to be here. You can also connect with us online. Remember, redemptionmi.org/podcast. If you want to submit a question or a topic or a complaint, that'd be great too. Until next time, keep pursuing redemption in every area of your life. And remember this, that God has you where he has you to advance the gospel through you.